Hey gang, welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys carving some time out of your day to check it out. And guys, today we're going to be talking about underspins. I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on how to fish them and what to look for with them in a non-live scope situation, just the traditional real bass fishing, because it is an excellent lure to catch fish in certain situations. So we're going to get into the meat of that. Real quick, guys, I want to remind you, you guys may have heard me talking about it. 2 weeks ago, I started my third YouTube channel called Advanced Bass Fishing with Randy Blockett. And this is an expert level only YouTube channel for highly skilled bass anglers. I'm only putting out one video a week, and they're about an hour long. They're like a seminar. I've already got 2 videos up on it. If you guys want to check it out, I'll put the link in the description. And if you guys would like to subscribe to the channel and help me get it going, that'd be much appreciated there. Okay guys, here it is, the underspin. Man, this has gained fame a lot over the past 10 years or so under certain situations. And what I want to sort of do here is I want to sort of run through the possible scenarios that you can catch fish on this if you're not familiar with it. Because I really think, even though as well known as an underspin is in the competitive fishing, I still think there's a lot of people that have never caught a fish on it. I mean, when you talk about just the average bass angler, maybe somebody getting started, just intermediate, a lot of people don't fish this. They don't know anything about them or how to fish them or what the deal is, but they are tremendous fish catchers under certain situations. Now, first of all, one of the things that you have to understand about an underspin, its sole purpose and the sole design for it is to fish for suspended fish. You're not fishing this thing on the bottom ever. You can fish it close to the bottom, but you never fish it on the bottom. This lure is designed to catch suspended fish in different depth ranges depending upon the water clarity and time of year. So what I sort of wanted to do is sort of run through my favorite scenarios, what to look for. So first of all, the actual underspin setup here. This is my favorite setup. This is a Megabass 4-inch spark shad here, and I've got the Gamakatsu. It's a 3/8 ounce underspin on it. It's got about a 4/0 hook in it. It's a tiny little willy blade here that flashes real good. So this is the setup, but most people, when they're fishing an underspin, they use some type of a shad bodied lure, to resemble some type of a minnow. And your underspins come in a variety of sizes. You got different hook sizes to make different profiles of underspin. But this one here has been my most productive, this 4-inch spark shad with this particular setup on the 3/8 ounce head. Now, the thing about it, let's talk about when it works in there. It actually works pretty much 12 months out of the year. The only slow time for an underspin, from what I've seen, is during the spawn and during the post-spawn period. I usually start fishing it in the winter time. And the winter time is probably my favorite time to fish it. The winter time through the early pre-spawn, and then again in the fall time of the year. So we'll sort of go over that. Now in the winter time, here's a couple different things you need to look for. First of all, you have to have a lake that's got some clear water in it. And when I'm talking about clear water, you really need water visibility of it. I like it of at least 4 feet. I mean, 3.5 feet at the minimum, on up to as clear as you want it. But you got to have water visibility pushing that 4-foot zone. If you don't have that, the underspin's not going to be that good of a lure. But still, there's a lot of lakes across the country where that falls into that category. The second thing with that, it really helps if you have a lake that has some mix of largemouth and spotted bass and or smallmouth bass. Because if you've got a mixed species lake, those type of lakes are a lot more conducive to bass suspending than just a pure largemouth lake. So all your lakes across the country, like the Ozarks Lake, Lake Lanier in Georgia, your eastern Tennessee lakes, all those type of lakes that have a mixed species are really good lakes for this particular lure category. What I look for in the wintertime is I'm fishing the ditches. Now to make this simple, the best thing you can do, or the easiest way to do it, is to go to the lower end of the lake in the clear water. The lower end is going to be the cleaner water, and start going into all the coves on the lower end of the lake and idle down the middle of the coves until you hit like 40 to 50 foot of water. Now, once you hit 40 to 50 feet of water, one of the things I like to do is I graph through the middle of that cove on 2D sonar, and I look for any bait fish or any cover, or submerged timber, anything like that that gives me a clue that there's some fish in the area. And if I see some cover or bait fish or fish, I take the underspin and I make long casts right down the middle of the cove, and I count it down to that depth where I'm seeing most of my shad activity on my electronic unit. Obviously, live scoper's got a huge advantage on this because this underspin is custom made for live scoping, although I don't endorse that way of fishing, but nevertheless that fact still remains there. But you don't need it anyway. Just start fan casting down the middle and maybe off to a 45-degree angle. Throw it out there, count it down to what you feel the depth range is, and just begin a slow retrieve like that. Just some type of a slow medium retrieve, nothing fancy with it. And if there's any fish suspended in there, that's going to be a really good way to catch them. Another good way to catch them that time of year is doing the same thing on points. You can get off main lake points, graph around out deep off those points until you see some bait fish activity. Simply take the underspin, same deal, count it down to where you see most of that bait fish activity and concentrate on that depth. Now this will last up until the water temperature starts getting into the mid 50s. Once the water starts getting in the mid 50s, those fish don't set up like that. They don't really position, they sort of scattered out a little bit more. So there's a lull between, say, like that March and April period up until like late June. And once July gets here, from about July all the way through the next pre-spawn period, there is some underspin bite for the most part. Now in the summertime of the year, there's two different scenarios I caught them good on the underspin in the summer. One is fishing deeper submerged timber, and obviously all lakes don't have submerged timber, so I know that's not going to apply to everybody out there, but if you do have a lake that has deeper submerged timber, getting out off of those areas that the big flats or wherever that timber is located is, and just slow roll that underspin over the top of those deep trees out there, that's a really good way to catch them all through the summer and fall. And another way in the summertime to catch them that's really good is around any hard structure. So if you've got like bridge pilings, if you got off the end of deep docks like marina docks, wave breaks, any type of hard man-made structure, you can also swim the underspin on it too. And this can be a really good schooling lure. If you're out fishing in the summer and the fall and you see them schooling, since this thing is pretty heavy and casts really good, you can fire it way out there, keep it close to the surface, and catch schooling bass with it. And the same thing sort of happens back in the fall. As fall progresses and you start getting where those water temperatures start getting down into the 50s again, the next place that those fish move in is back into those ditches, the ditches or the middle of the coves. If I could give you one piece of advice on an underspin, concentrate on the ditches and the coves. And a ditch is just another word for the channel in the middle of a cove when it goes back in there. Now you can do the same thing in creek arms. Like for example, there's one of these major creeks I fish in Table Rock all the time. It's a major creek arm, and I get about 2/3 of the way back in this major creek arm when that water is 35 or 40 feet deep, and I just start fan casting everywhere out there because there's a lot of deeper submerged timber, and I catch them doing that on the underspin. So anyway, guys, that's a few tips and advice. Get you some. I'll put the Baitworks link in the description. You guys can get you some of the 4-inch spark shads. These things work really good. This Megabass spark shad, this is the real color, and it's my favorite color for it. And also maybe a little puff of chartreuse with some chartreuse marker on the tail also helps out a little bit too. So hope it helps you guys catch some. We'll talk later.